There's more than 9, of course, but I'm going to share with you 9 traits and beliefs of people who think that nature is flawed. And then the converse of that is I'll share with you what people believe, those who believe that nature is perfect. So if you believe that nature is flawed, is imperfect, then you believe that the body and its operation is also imperfect. If you believe nature is flawed, then you believe health is random and you achieve health by luck or genetics, or, your maker smites you, and, the whims and capricious actions of a deity will determine whether you're healthy or not. If you believe nature is flawed, then to some degree you believe that we're all flying blind. And by that I mean you believe that there's no real order, no real logic, no real patterns. So as a result, you believe that people really don't know how to achieve health, so that we're always on the lookout for new information. Consequently, you also will be swayed by the 6 o'clock news. That's what I refer to as the mainstream media or news outlets that will say one day that eggs are good for you, and then another day they'll say eggs are bad for you. If you don't believe that there's order in the universe, then you're always going to be at the whim of the next fad or the next big thing. You're also likely to take pharmaceuticals. You're likely to take steroids. You're likely to take antibiotics. You're likely to take drugs in an effort to improve on what you believe is imperfect. You are also not likely to make any distinction between real food and garbage. If you believe that this is all just a random excursion that we're on in chaos, then you probably won't be that vigilant about what you put in your body, because you haven't made that connection yet. So you'll be eating microwave food, you'll be eating fast food, you'll be eating stuff with pesticides and food coloring and flavoring, because there's no real distinction in your mind between real food and poison. You probably won't also see the patterns. One of the things that I've noticed as I focus on nature is that there are certain patterns, not just patterns in people and their behavior, but patterns. There's a philosophy principle in the Kabbalion that says, as above, so below. So you notice that there are patterns in higher forms of nature and lower forms of nature. You notice that there are patterns in the spiritual realm that duplicate themselves on the physical realm. So you notice the patterns, but you probably won't see that if you think that this whole system is imperfect and flawed, because you won't be looking for patterns. And then you'll be looking outside of yourself for the answers and for solutions. So if you believe that nature is perfect, then therefore you would also believe that you have a birthright to that perfection, and then therefore you'd be more confident about looking inside for your solutions. But if you believe nature is imperfect, then you're more prone to look outside. And then finally, when I say outside, I mean to an external authority. You're more than likely going to rely on what the experts say in order to make your decisions, which, on the outside doesn't sound like a bad thing. But what I'm here to do is to suggest to you that they are no more qualified to be an authority than you are. In fact, when it comes to your body, I would argue that you are more qualified than anyone else. And especially when it comes to matters of nutrition, for example, and health, it's a sad fact that a lot of the medical profession, they're never really trained in nutrition as a modality for healing. So those are 9 traits and beliefs that you might probably be exhibiting if you believe that nature is flawed. Now, on the flip side, I'll just go through these 9 again. For people like myself, who believe nature is perfect, then you believe the body and its operation is perfect. Now, I don't mean that every human body is perfect. Obviously, there are some people who are born with congenital diseases, some people who are born malformed or what have you. But what I mean is that the system in itself, how things are designed to work, has a perfection to it that pharmaceuticals cannot match, cannot replicate. So there's a perfection, there's an order, there's an intelligence to the universe and to the body and to the functioning and to the system and the interplay of the body within nature that you can rely on, and that is perfect. If you believe that nature is perfect, as I do, you don't believe that health is random. You know, everything has a cause and effect. You don't believe that someone just gets up one day and all of a sudden has cancer. There are certain behaviors, certain lifestyles, certain things that they've ingested, certain emotional habits that they've been subjected to that result in the body manifesting illness. If you believe that nature is perfect, as I do, then you don't believe we're flying blind. You believe that there is order, there is perfection, there is intelligence, there is logic, there is something that you can rely on to explain what is happening in your body and also to heal it as well. Very important. So not just cause and effect in terms of the outcomes in terms of your physical health, but cause and effect in terms of what things you can do in order to cause the effects that you're looking for in your healing. As I always tell my friend, you know, I have a friend of mine who will say, hey, Walt, I just saw in the paper or on the news that they say eggs are good for you now. For me, I decided years ago that no, I'm not going to eat meat or eggs or chicken or fish. So it doesn't matter what the 6 o'clock news says today or tomorrow or the next day. I've made my decision. I've proven it to myself. I know that this is not something that I'm going to indulge in. I'm not just waiting for some authority to come and say, okay, you should start eating eggs now or meat or wine or what have you, because we now say that it is good for you. I don't need that. I'm not looking for that outside authority. I don't need it. I've made my decision once, so it's not subject to be swayed. And as you know, I don't take pharmaceuticals or antibiotics or steroids. I believe if there was something I wanted to achieve in terms of my physical fitness, I can achieve that through natural means. I don't have to resort to pharmaceuticals and unnatural means in order to achieve it. And if it's something that can't be achieved by nature, then it's something that I probably don't want, you know, to subject my body to. I'm thinking of like really massive weightlifters and bodybuilders. You know, sure, there's a degree of bulk that I could achieve by lifting, you know, natural weights, but it's not something that I want to do. So I do make a distinction between real food and fake food. For me, real food is fruits, nuts, and vegetables in as close to their natural state as possible. You know, not processed, not colored, not microwaved. And that's what I consider real food. Anything, the best definition would be if I can put it in the ground and grow another one. That would be my perfect definition. That's not always possible, but in as close to its natural state as possible. I do see the patterns, and I mentioned this before. Because I believe nature is perfect, I look for and I do see the patterns in how the animal kingdom interacts with nature and similarities in how humans should. And when they do interact with nature in that way, they produce comparable results. I'm thinking of fasting, for example. And finally, I will not be, as I said before, I alluded to this before, but I will not be looking outside of myself for the authority. The authority in terms of what my body is capable of, what is best for my body, all exists here. It's information and knowledge and wisdom that I can gather myself by experimenting on myself. And I'm not experimenting, you know, in any Dr. Frankenstein sort of way. I'm experimenting simply by eating different foods, listening to my body, seeing how my body reacts. So I know that for me, eating a real apple is better than eating apple from a can. So I'm not looking, I don't need to, I'm not looking for an outside authority to validate my decisions in terms of what I eat and what I don't eat. Because at the end of the day, finally, I am my own authority. Now, I'll just qualify that a bit. Sure, there are people in the medical profession who may have more experience than I do. So, for example, years ago, I fell down, hit my head, when I was jogging and was chased by some dogs. That's another story. And I went to I thought I might have a concussion just, because I'm a hypochondriac that way. But I went to a doctor who was able to look at me and, ask me certain questions. And he, based on his experience, seeing people who do have concussions, that I did not have a concussion. So there is value to be had by interacting with people who have experience in, medical practice. But for the most part, when it comes to deciding what I put in my body and deciding what is healthy for me, and in terms of the food I eat and the pharmaceuticals I stay away from, I don't need any. I am my own authority. So it doesn't matter what, someone says about taking this intervention or this drug or this vaccine or what have you. I decide for myself whether it's something that I do or will not do. And yeah, sure enough, I'll suffer the consequences, but for the most part, it's proven very beneficial over these years. So anyway, those are 9 traits and beliefs of people who think that that nature is flawed versus those who think that nature is perfect. And this is all very important because it'll determine what you do, how you do, when you do, and where you do in terms of your pursuit of health. So I'll see you in the next video and we'll talk about this some more.